One, who is Colin Thompson? And two, y'all are making 6 to 7 figures doing podcasts? I'm in the wrong line of work. I make like 4 figures here in the $10 million studio. Barely keep the lights on, okay? So I went to do some research, figure out, how these people are making all this money and also how they got robbed. And what I found out was that this company that stole the $4 million was a podcast network called Cast Media. Podcast network being a fancy name for saying they represent podcasts to find sponsors. All that stuff you violently skip with the fast forward 15-second button. Yeah, those guys. And Cast Media would basically work with them as a middleman. They would take some money, give the podcasters the read, and then give the money. Of course, taking a cut for themselves. Now, that is simplifying it a bit, and we'll go into the details more later. But what you need to know is that Cast Media hadn't been paying their talent on time. And what started as being late for maybe a month had turned into 7, 8, 9 months late on paying until one day Cast Media and their CEO.
Like, how do you put yourself in the right mind space to explore some of these really difficult topics?
I think a lot of it's preparation. And then once it happens, it's mostly fueled by sort of adrenaline, I would say. I really deeply care about getting to like the root cause of some of these issues, because I think so often people in positions of power are let off the hook. So I really care about holding their feet to the fire, and it translates into like a lot of energy the day of. So I never find myself, like, funny enough, I usually drink a lot of caffeine leading up to the interview, and then I try to drink like minimum the day of, because I have so much adrenaline. I don't want to be like hyper stimulated.
I have to say, of all the recent guests I've had, the energy you had when you walked into the door was pretty
excited.
intense.
Are people not excited to be here?
I don't know. I think they're scared.
You're a big deal, Lex.
I think they're scared.
I don't know if you know.
I felt like
and who knows the industry inside and out and reveals the strategies deployed by the food giants.
Those 3 ingredients are so powerful. Salt, they call it the flavor burst, because typically it's on the surface of chips, on snacks. It's the first thing that touches the tongue. They love fats as well, because those are what they call the mouthfeel, the sensation of biting into a warm toasted cheese sandwich. And then probably the most powerful of the 3 for many people is sugar, just by basic instinct. And so the industry has engineered what they call the bliss point for the perfect amount of sugar in products, not too little, not.
We had a tremendous show planned for you. Well-designed, articulate, a tremendous deconstruction of the most interesting issues of the day. We prepared a whole piece on the new Trump tariffs, breaking down the different rates and their secondary impacts. A truly illuminating dive into the overlooked role of the commodities markets in trade deficit accounting. It was going to be so funny. But sadly, at the last minute, we had to scrap all that because Elmo lost his mind.
Elmo is back to his usual family-friendly content after a hacker posted racist and anti-Semitic remarks to the Sesame Street character's X account.
First thing that I want to talk about today in today's massive show, hit that like button if you like the big ones. Yes, I worded it like that on purpose. Is of course Creator Clash, which was put together by iDubbbz and Anissa, and it was a resounding success, but of course, like everything with YouTubers, there was a controversy. And I'll start with the positive because iDubbbz very much a man of his word. With him prior to the event saying he wanted this event to be different, saying that the creators involved wanted to show respect to the sport, take it seriously and train, saying that it wouldn't be as cloud or money driven as previous influencer boxing events. And I also gotta say, just visually, like if you compare and contrast this event with Triller, do not show a graphic, not trying to get into Ethan Klein's lawsuit, like Creator Clash looks so much better. Also, as far as the fighters, literally everyone on the card, I want to give props to. Harley from Epic Mealtime and Aaron, both bosses. Also, Harley with the best promo call out of all time.
This is for a good cause. That's why I did it. However, I only used about 20% of my abilities. I would like to exercise the remaining 80%. I want to fight.
Robbie Starbuck.
Robbie, I'm a big fan of what you do and your wife.
Corporate America listens to this guy. I'm a little scared of him, too.
This is the Robbie Starbuck Show.
Today, we've got an incredible guest. This is the legend, the founder, 93 years old, Tommy Lowe of Cracker Barrel. This is an interview you are not going to want to miss. You know, I want to start with this. So before we get to the logo, Tommy, you're an incredible man. You are the American dream. You didn't just found Cracker Barrel. You also in your life, you were a dairy farmer. You did construction. I mean, go down the list of all the jobs you did. You were a wrestling champion. You are the pinnacle of what people kind of think of when they think American dream. You start from, you know, small town and you create this enormous, amazing thing that people are familiar with all over the world. So before we get into the logo and Cracker Barrel today, I just want to ask you for the entrepreneurs out there, especially young men and young women who are thinking about starting a business, but
well, whether we got good intelligence out of it or not, no one will ever even know that this happened until one day, I believe it was the LA Times, through a weird series of events, finds out what happened and they contact CIA and they say, did you guys build this ship with an arm to get a Soviet submarine and use Howard Hughes as the cover story? They got the whole thing. The first time ever, the CIA said, we can neither confirm nor deny. The Glomar Explorer was, you know, the whole thing. That's where the phrase, we can neither confirm nor deny, came from.
Man.
So to this day, if one of those requests would come in, somebody would say, just Glomar them.
Plus, when I posted that I'm hanging out with Pavel, a lot of people, fans of his, wrote to me asking if he does, in fact, privately live the disciplined, ascetic life he's known for. No alcohol, stoic mindset, strict diet and exercise, including a crazy amount of daily pull-ups and push-ups, no phone except to occasionally test Telegram features, and so on. Yes, he's 100% that guy, which made the experience of hanging out with him really inspiring to me. I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful to now be able to call him a friend. This podcast conversation is in parts philosophical, about freedom, life, human nature, and the nature of government bureaucracies. And it is also in parts super technical, because to me, it is fascinating that Telegram has a relatively small engineering team and yet is able to basically out-innovate all of its competitors with an insane...
And that's a concern. What do you think about that, Terry?
There's a study that was done. What they did was to look at Alzheimer's in 3 populations, who had very little schooling, and then minimal education, like the equivalent, I guess, of high school or less, and then postgraduate studies. And what they found was that the onset of Alzheimer's was the earliest in the peasant population. And then by the time, as you increase the amount of education, the onset was later and later, which I think supports what you're saying.
Did you see the new research on SSRIs increasing the risk of dementia?
No.
Brand new. That just came out. And benzos, when I started looking at scans in 1991, I was trained to use benzos like Valium and Xanax and Ativan, and they make your brain look older than you are. And I stopped prescribing them. And then it just came out maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah. Never before has that sound effect, that like dramatic bass boom sound effect, been more appropriate. That is a huge deal. That is millions of dollars, no exaggeration, actually millions of dollars that PayPal Honey is making through stealing those commissions. By replacing the affiliate link with their own at the very end of checkout, without the consumer ever even knowing this happens, they're able to take the entire commission while the influencer or whoever that brought them there gets nothing. They get the whole pie, and the creator doesn't even get the fucking crust. It's so devious.